Greetings to all our wonderful viewers. Jesus Christ is Lord, and He will forever be Lord. A question to all of our viewers: what is life? I'll help you answer that question. Life is like a vapor. We appear one time and then disappear. You know, in life we are faced with many challenges, difficulties, and problems. From the set of choices, we want to introduce and recommend to you a man who can help, deliver, heal, and set you free. He did it for all of us here on Choices, and He can do it for you. His name is Jesus. This is Choices. Welcome. God bless you.
Good evening. For the past several weeks, we have been looking at the topic being made free. And oftentimes, some people construe being made free as disengagement or disentanglement of themselves from physical bondage and things that seem to entrap them. But we have been advocating that while that might be so, we need to consider how we see ourselves in life. Oftentimes it has to do with how we think, how we perceive what life has to offer. And we have also been massaging the whole issue about the various segments we have by age in the world today. We talked about the millennials, we talked about the baby boomers and all of that. But what the thread that we have been passing through all of that is the fact that if we are going to be really set free and become truly free, then we need to consider the transferal of knowledge that can impact thinking and the way we view life. We have been looking at Deuteronomy chapter 6, where the scripture spoke to the fact that as Israel was about to occupy the land of promise, in Guyana we talk about this being God's country, land of many waters, so many potential and all of that. But unless and until we can change our mindset, how we perceive life, how we think, then we may not be able to enjoy the benefits that this country has to offer. So in examining Deuteronomy, we were looking at what Moses was saying, to teach at every opportunity that we have. So we want to continue the discussion today and focus about how we should transfer knowledge that can become an asset to the society in which we live. Gentlemen.
Dr. Lee, I want to thank you. Thank you, Pastor C. I love the comparison of the land of promise to Guyana, because truly, in my estimation, and I guess to the estimation of all of us, Guyana is truly a land of promise. Look at our vast natural resources. Look at the potentials that we have with the advent of oil. Look at the academic strength that we have. This is a place for young people. I will advise all young people not to migrate. Stay right here. This is the land of promise. But as we attempt to maximize that promise, they become necessary certain kinds of instructions and skills. I was, for example, driving the other day, and I was so offended that it seemed as if we can walk any place on the road and nobody can say anything to you. I was also driving one day and I saw a man, he was eating from a box, and he decided that he will just throw it through the window as if nothing happens. For us to benefit from that promise, there are certain kinds of instructions that must be followed. And I think there is where Deuteronomy comes in very beautifully, because what Deuteronomy teaches is a fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. And by fearing God, you not only respect God, but you also respect your fellow man, and you also respect God's creation and the environment in which He has created us. And so I love this similarity.
But Reverend, what about the responsibility of maintaining that liberty or freedom in which you were...
But even before we go to maintaining, there is a cost acquired. It doesn't just come like that.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
you have to acquire it. And the kinds of freedoms that we have had as a people has come at a cost. And I think we need to, instead of destroying that freedom, is to build on the freedom that we have as a people.
And this is really, Jesus said, I have come, that you may have life and have it more abundantly. The Word of God also teaches that who the Son sets free is free indeed. And when we look at Deuteronomy, the relevance of teaching, of ensuring instruction is deliberately given to the younger generation so that they can maintain and have an understanding of what God would have done for their fathers and forefathers. I strongly believe that like a sick person, if you fail to maintain your maybe the kind of treatment you're on, you can go into a state of relapse. And that relapse can be more detrimental than your former state. So if we fail to teach, if we fail to model, we're talking principles, we're talking things that will help us in society. You use the example of the gentleman discarding the box out of the car. I wouldn't want to visit his home, those simple things, if we fail to maintain the principles that will help us to remain free and to live the kind of life that would help others as they come along, we're not going
I
anywhere.
would ask a rhetorical question. Why wouldn't you want to visit his home? I found that lots of the people who are nasty, excuse my language, they keep their homes pretty well. The surroundings, the immediate surroundings are well kept. How can you go to a function and in the middle of or halfway through the function, the entire place is littered with bottles and plastics and all these kinds of things? I want to boast in the Lord. I have never thrown a bottle out of a window. If all of us Guyanese could say that, then there will not be the litter that we see all over this country, all over the country. We talk about freedom. Every time I talk about freedom, I remember Dr. Miles Monroe, because he take this thing in 3 steps. Not just freedom, he spoke about character, responsibility, and then freedom. With all that is coming to Guyana, all that God has promised, all the discoveries that are being made, and I believe there is more oil on the lands than in the water. This is my personal belief. And if we don't get our act together, we wouldn't benefit fully. So we have to begin to train and walk people through deliverance, personal and community. We have to get there to get the desired end.
So there is a place for seniors. There is a place for those who have gone before, because we are standing on the shoulders of men and women who paid the price. And so it is very, very important, because as we see in Deuteronomy, Moses was very careful in telling the children of Israel to beware lest you forget where the Lord had brought you from, out of bondage and out of Egypt. So as we pursue the promise I think there is a place for those who have gone before, who have gone through the mill, and there must be a nexus between the generations. And like Dr. Lee talked about that thread that is coming through, let us maintain that. Let us ensure that we remind the younger generation that there is a price you have to pay.
But you know,
And as we work together, I believe we'll be able to not only fulfill that promise, but see the benefits of working hard and of staying focused and allowing God to do what only He
Pastor Roman mentioned the 3 steps. He talked about character, he spoke about responsibility, he talked about freedom. Now, as we look through Deuteronomy here, before they received the promise, before they entered into the promised land, teaching was paramount. Teaching was primary.
Yes.
Teaching was important. So while I agree, and we all agree, that Guyana has much to offer, and we're hearing every day, but so much resources that are being covered, we can squander it if we fail to teach, because going into the promised land here, instilling in them, God honoring consciousness, recognizing who God is, and all of that. It was so important. So to receive and to benefit what the land has in store for us, we need to develop that God-fearing, God consciousness if we're going to maximize it. If not, we run the risk of squandering it, like so many other countries over there.
Yeah, and I like that. I like Paul talk about the seniors, and it behoves us because we have a responsibility. The responsibility is for us to continue teaching.
You're speaking because you're a senior.
No, but the idea is.
Well, we all have a responsibility.
Yeah, the idea is here, as Moses would have said to the people before, you have to teach so that the other generation will come into the knowledge of who God is, what you're going into. So the responsibility, we can't get tired. We can't look at them and condemn or criticize, but we have to teach.
And you know,
It is
I don't like using words them and us.
Yes.
Because for me, I think we all are a part of this whole system.
Yeah.
All right?
So,
The old men are needed for their wisdom, the young men are needed for the strength, the scripture says.
Yes.
And so it is both sides of the coin that is needed. And while I have a role to play, you have a role to play also. So if we can find that nexus and the mixture between those roles, it becomes easier for us to actually execute. I believe the Seers have a role to play. When I look at their ability to understand social media and use information technology, they make us look as if we are aliens, and that's the direction information is traveling right now. So there is a very serious nexus necessary as we
One of the
work
things
together.
that is edged in my memory when I worked in the banking system, a gentleman brought his son. His son was 3 years old, and he brought his son to open an account for him. And he brought the transport, and on that document had his son's name. He was 3 years old and has, I think, as a minor. They would have known as a minor. But after finished opening the account, I noticed this man, he took the time to talk to his son. I'm opening this account for you. I have your name on this transport. And little guy, probably he wasn't understanding everything, but what stood out for me is that this father took the time to invest.
deliberate.
It was deliberate. He saw it as a responsibility and as a duty. So not only teach, but modeling. So he's showing this young man, because by the time you know it, he'll be 10 years old, he'll be 15 years old. And so we have to influence them in every sphere of society, of life, so that they can see a practical example.
I think the Lord also showed the same respect that you're speaking about when he told them that they're going into a land that's filled with milk and honey. There are things in there that you won't even build. But this is, you will possess all these things. But then, I love the instructions that Moses trying to tell them, remind them about. In 6:13, it said, fear the Lord your God, serve him only, and take your oath in his name. You know, he reminding them that although you're going to get these things, this is free things to get in, but don't forget this who gave
It's
you.
not free as such, you know,
No,
somebody paid the
Somebody-
price.
But
Somebody paid.
somebody paid the price. But we're talking about the persons them who they occupied the place before.
Listen to me.
People like you age group.
I like Pastor Paul. I like the example Pastor Paul used, that the father put in everything that he would have worked for on the line with the hope that this young man would become responsible and ensure that this thing is not just maintained but multiplied. Reverend, in verse 12, there's a word of caution. Beware, lest you forget the Lord. So the possibility of acquiring and achieving, but forgetting the one who is responsible for me being where I am, and thinking that I am self-made, I have achieved it all, not giving credence to the one who would have brought me through. And in doing that, it becomes detrimental not just to me, but those who will come after me, not being able to get
Two
through.
words there that are very important. Beware and forget. You know, when we look at some signs on the gate, you see beware of God. It means that if you approach at your own peril, right? So we got that word is very, very key. And beware that you do not forget. When you look at the word forget implies that knowledge came. So it's not that you were ignorant. Knowledge came. But for some reason, somewhere along the line, the knowledge, it escaped you or it came out of you. So it's a case whereby there's a responsibility after you would have garnered information. It has to be maintained, it has to be bottled, it has to be kept, because forgetting is practically tantamount to ignorance. It was just ignorance at another level. You've acquired this information, and then you've allowed this information to slip through. So this is the caution. After God would have worked, after God would have done what he needed to do in your life, after the information would have been instilled, you've got to be careful that you don't allow that to slip.
I want to look at this more practically. You know, only 2 persons who were older than 20 were going into the promised land. Only 2.
Yes.
It's a young generation, not the 20 that were going in. And Reverend Sample, I want to put a little more graphic. Disobedience caused the fathers, the mothers, to die on the other side of Jordan. So in beware, unless you forget, God is telling them that here, if you are disobedient and if you fail to honor me, just like how your parents' carcasses fell on the other side, the same can happen to you. And it's not only physical death that can result,
Yeah.
okay, but spiritual death can also result from your failure to honor me. So God was reminding them. So here was a chance for the older generation, through Moses, passing on knowledge and reminding them of what transpired on the other side of Jordan, and telling them that don't forget these things. Young, 20, you are the 20 that you're going, you have a glorious chance. You have youthfulness, you have strength, you have energy. And at the same time, we're teaching you, we're passing on, transmitting knowledge. So you're putting these two together, you have a great opportunity to secure at the benefit.
Pastor, you used the better word there, the disobedience. I was about to tell Pastor Anthony that yes, you could forget, but also you could ignore. And that is the trouble we are having in this society. People are ignoring what is right. I just want to make this quick point, I hope I can, because quite recently I was in a vehicle heading, I think, east on Longden Street. And I heard, what is this? I said, well, a young man run under a container truck, an 18-wheeler. He wanted to cross from one side to the other, and he able to walk around. So he run under the truck. This thing get me so angry. We talking about responsibility. Uniform, school uniform and all of that. I came out the vehicle, scrambled him, I put him in my car and said, you are under arrest. But then all kind of considerations start to come into my head. And I said, call your mother. Mommy dead. And he was able to call his guardian. And she was devastated. He recognized, he said, oh shucks, hey, I get in trouble. I do something stupid. Well, praise God that the young man can recognize that he did something stupid. The driver, he gone, he oblivious. He don't know what happened. But the people, all of the people around who saw skin in the teeth, you know, they would have come and attacked the driver. You're driving too fast. Are you with these big trucks? Listen, I see this thing as a spiritual issue in this country. People are encouraging dangers. People know right and doing wrong, doing all kind of foolishness. If you see this young man's stature, you know, probably from the Bible, black and beautiful. Could have been a beautiful death. It's such a shame.
Reverend Desada, how could we help them? How could we help the younger generation? As we talk about being beware, as we talk about don't forget, don't ignore, don't be disobedient. Is there a place for a strategy of our teaching that is there a place for chronicling and documenting and ensure that the records are there, rather than just saying it throughout the generations? Is there a place for documenting some of the challenges we've had, some of the successes we've had, so that there can be a reference point, something that they can go back to? Is there a place for that?
I suppose all of us can answer, but I will add my 2 cents to the discussion by saying this. There is certainly a place for documentation. And if you remember, there were times when you sat down at your family table, your parents would tell you, you know, when I was a little boy, this is what happened. Now, this is how we managed to get this house. You know, this house we have here. These are the things. I remember the bank almost foreclosed. You know, one time I didn't even get a job, couldn't even pay the bank. What you're doing there is chronicling to the next generation what has transpired to get you to where you are. And lots of times we forget them. By forgetting them, there is not that transmitting of the record of what transpired. Pastor Lee, as you spoke, I remember someone speaking to the issue of acquiring houses. You acquire property. And after acquiring a property, 15, 20 years, that same property becomes so, what? Dilapidated, run down. The next generation comes, maybe take over the property. Well, in one case, the property fell to the ground. It is a testament of what we were discussing earlier. It's more than just acquiring.
Yeah.
There is a need to maintain.
Yes. Important words.
Much more than acquiring.
Yeah.
There is a need to maintain.
Maintain and improve on what has been bequeathed or given to us. Because you know, in some of the villages you pass through, you recognize that some of the properties are aged. They came way back when, and every succeeding generation did nothing to improve what was given. When you were given, it's an opportunity for you to build on it. And you know, we're talking about sharing and transmitting. You know, I have gone even so far to let my children know how I court their mother. It is instructive in that it gives them the opportunity to see how the relationship or how the union started, and also tell them about also some of the do's and don'ts, some of the pitfalls that you could fall into if you're not careful as you choose your partner.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And these words which I command you today, you shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall walk and talk with them when you sit down in your house, and when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them around your waist and around your hand. They shall be a frontlet before your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house, and you shall write them on your gates also. May the Lord richly bless you. This is Choices. You choose. God bless you.
We thank you for joining us on Choices today. Remember, you can join us at First Assembly, LNP Durban Street, Workmanville, Georgetown, Guyana, for any of our special services. I'm Celicia on behalf of the set, reminding you that your whole life is the sum of your choices. God bless you.